The physiological and psychological performance effects of pre-exercise self-selected music on consecutive high-intensity cycling. Music has the ability to capture your attention, motivate you, change your mood status, increase work ethic, decrease inhibitions, and encourage rhythmic movement. Music has become increasingly popular with exercise, especially since the launch of the iPod, MP3 players, and ability to download and listen to music on mobile phones. These days, it is rare to go to a gym and not see people listening to music whilst exercising. Music has the ability to influence the listener and increase aerobic and anaerobic performance. It can provide excitement or motivation to a long and tedious exercise like running on the treadmill by distracting the listener from physiological sensations like fatigue. It can also distract the exerciser from feelings of perceived exhaustion from resistance training during anaerobic exercises. However, a study by Dyer and McCune found no significant difference on physiological performance from listening to music, so a positive result is not always guaranteed. It is also thought that music can produce psychological effects from physical activity. It can influence your mood, emotion, cognition, and prolong feelings of tiredness and fatigue. In most sports, though, athletes are not permitted to listen to music whilst competing. To date, there is minimal research on pre-competition music and if there are any physiological or psychological benefits. Of the research that has been conducted in this area, it has been found that music can increase self-confidence and control arousal levels. The purpose of this study is to further explore if there are any physiological or psychological benefits from listening to music pre-exercise. We hypothesize that there will be significant difference psychologically and also significant physiological differences. This study design used a repeated measures crossover design where 7 willing students from CQ University volunteered for the study. The study comprised of 2 separate trials over 2 days where participants completed 1 trial per day. In Trial 1, the participant would complete 2 3-kilometre cycling time trials without music. In Trial 2, the participant would complete 2 3-kilometre cycling time trials with music. A coin toss was used to decide whether the participant had music or no music first. Prior to the study commencing, the participants made a 20-minute self-selected playlist. The participant was allowed to listen to their playlist during each warm-up phase, but not the 3-kilometre cycling time trial. The warm-up phase consisted of a 5-minute warm-up at 100 watts on the Velotron cycle ergometer, followed by a 2-minute self-selected pace and then a 3-minute rest. During the 3 minutes of rest prior to the 3-kilometre time trial, the participant was fitted with a polar heart rate monitor. This was to measure their heart rate across each of their 3-kilometre time trials. After the 3 minutes of rest had expired, the participant commenced their first 3-kilometre time trial. Immediately after the 3-kilometre time trial, the participant had their RPE measured using the Borg rating of perceived exhaustion scale, and they also had their motivation measured using a 10-point Likert scale ranging from not at all motivated to extremely motivated. If the participant was also listening to music prior to the 3-kilometre cycling time trial, then the participant also rated each song they listened to on their playlist using the 6-item Brunel music rating inventory. After completion of the ratings, the participant then repeated their warm-up phase again. Participants then commenced their final 3-kilometre time trial once the 3-minute rest had expired. After completing the 3-kilometre time trial for the last time, the participant once again rated their RPE and motivation levels, and if they had listened to music, they had to rate each song again. The participant had to follow this procedure once with music and another time without any music. A paired t-test was utilised to compare the physiological differences like peak power, mean power, heart rate, and time of completion across each time trial with music and no music. A paired t-test was also used to compare the psychological differences of RPE and motivational levels. All statistical testing was set up with a p-value of 0.05. After statistical analysis using a paired t-test of comparing the 3-kilometre cycling time trials with music to without music, it resulted in no significant differences in peak power, mean power, time completion, heart rate, or motivation. However, there was a significant decrease of rating of perceived exhaustion when listening to music compared to without. With music peak power was greater than the without music peak power, but there was no significant difference, although it should be noted that the p-value equaled 0.056. With music mean power was greater than the without music mean power, but there was no significant difference. Without music time completion was higher than the with music time completion, but not significant. With music motivation was higher than the without music motivation, but no significant difference. The without music RPE was higher than the with music RPE, which resulted in a significant difference. The with music heart rate was higher than the without music heart rate, but was non-significant. RPE without music resulted in a significant increase when compared to music, or in other words, the participant felt more exhausted after completing the exercise. These results are similar to a study where participants participated in a Bruce treadmill test. Participants had to complete this test twice, once with music and once without. The results showed a significant decrease in RPE when listening to music when compared to completing the test without music, meaning the participant felt less exhausted. Peak and mean power showed no significant increase. These results differ from a study where 12 male athletes completed 2 trials. One trial where they were allowed to listen to music in the warm-up phase before completing the Wingate test, and another trial where they were not allowed to listen to music in the warm-up phase. These results showed a significantly higher increase in peak and mean power in the Wingate test when they listened to music compared to without music. Time completion heart rate resulted in no significant difference when music was compared to without music. These results are different from another study where they reported a significantly higher heart rate and significantly lower time completion when participants did a 10-kilometer time trial with music compared to without music. The 6-item Brunel music rating inventory resulted in a mean of 6.1, standard deviation of 0.2, which is very high considering the highest point you can give is 7. However, it could have been extremely high because it was the participants self-selected music. If the music was randomized for every participant, it may have resulted in different findings. Even though music motivation levels were higher in the with music compared to the without music, it still resulted in no significant difference. It was thought that motivation with music would have resulted in a significant difference, as in another study where they found a significantly higher motivation state in the music conditions when compared to the no music condition. This study found a significant difference between with music RPE and without music RPE, meaning if you listen to music whilst warming up, you will experience lower levels of RPE. The results also show that there was no significant physiological benefits from listening to music in the warm-up when compared to without music. Although it should be noted that even though there was no significant difference between with music peak power and without music peak power, the p-value was very close to being significant, 0.056, so further study on this aspect could result in significant findings. Results show that listening to music when warming up is a suitable device that can significantly lower your RPE, therefore athletes will not feel as mentally fatigued during competition. Also, further research could result in a significantly higher peak power when listening to music during warm-up. This could therefore result in athletes producing a higher peak power performance during competition. Questions? Here are the references. Thank you for listening to my PowerPoint presentation.